I come from a recording background. I worked for Decca, the record company in London. In their classical side, I was recording most of the time throughout my career in the United States, the big orchestras there and famous conductors, but I also worked a lot in Vienna in the Musikverein and also in the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam. So I've had a history of working in nice acoustics. For over 20 years or so, overlapping that, I worked for Luciano Pavarotti in the Three Tenors. I was their sound engineering director, and when Pavarotti retired at the end of 2005, I came to work for Meyer to help them develop Constellation. I didn't invent it, but I've had a lot to do with the development of the technology in other ways. Here in Hamburg, we've got quite a large system, and it's quite a sophisticated system because of the level of complexity and flexibility that the school require. So we have 142 loudspeakers in the system, which in itself isn't unusual for a Constellation system, and we've got 48 microphones. The microphones are distributed throughout the stage and throughout the auditorium, and this is very important because with Constellation we don't just capture sound above the performers and then add reverberation effects to them that are distributed throughout the room. Instead, we actually change the acoustic of the room. And we do that by capturing sound on the microphones, applying those microphones to multi-channel early reflection and reverberation processes, and then returning the output from those processes back into the loudspeakers via a complex matrix. The way the system works is it's a digitally based system. It uses linear microphones, linear loudspeakers, and linear digital signal processing. That's very important, that at no point in the signal chain is any distortion introduced. So we're very fussy about that. The idea is that we capture the sound of the performers and of the auditorium itself on microphones. The microphones over the stage are placed lower within the critical distance of the building, so typically 5 meters from the floor. They capture the sound of performers or musicians. We then apply that sound to the reverberators and the early reflection generators, and it's returned back into the hall. Now, as we add more gain to the system, so we increase the amount of regeneration between the microphones and the loudspeakers, and so we can extend the reverberation time. In addition, of course, our digital reverberators help top that up. So we can actually, in this particular hall, we have a range of reverberation times ranging from 0.6 seconds going right up to 4 seconds. And in last night's concert, we actually used 4-second reverberation time to simulate a cathedral. But typically, for classical music, we would be around 1.5 to 2 seconds reverberation time. Flexibility. It's possible, and some outstanding acousticians have made some really good flexible concert halls with moving panels, moving ceilings, all sorts of surfaces that can be reflective 1 minute and absorptive the next, diffusive, lots and lots of different ways of doing this. But these halls require a lot of volume, because in order to achieve long reverberation times for classical music, you actually need quite a significant volume in the room. And if you look at the Musikverein, which is a beautiful hall, it's tall. It's got a large volume compared with the number of occupants. With Constellation, using our Viras reverberators, we're able to actually create the same reverberation times but in a smaller volume. So if you're in a new building or in a building that wasn't ever designed to be a classical music concert hall, we can effectively increase the volume and so give it the kind of reverberation times that you would only get from a much larger space. But in addition to that, we can also use Constellation in different ways. We can use it for speech, we can use it for drama. And in that particular mode, we shut off the reverberation side of Constellation and just use the early reflections, which we distribute around the system in a controlled way and a very calculated way to actually enable speech to be heard clearly in different parts of the building. I think that this particular school here is a living example and one of the most vibrant I've come across of how music and performance is changing. Not just music, but every kind of performance. And I think that there is every reason to believe that the intervention of electronics in music is here to stay. I have no doubt about that. And there was a lot of concern many years ago about the idea of using electronics to change acoustics, but we've had a lot of practice at this now, and we're doing it in a way that the audience, depending on what we're doing, shouldn't be aware of this. So for much of the concert last night here, we were in a lovely, reverberant acoustic, just right for chamber music, and that suited an awful lot of the performances here. But you wouldn't really have thought about it much because we just get the acoustic just right for that particular type of performance. And if we're doing a good job, you shouldn't be aware of it. If we're trying to create special effects and turn a small room into a cathedral, of course you're going to be aware of that, but that's another application for it. And we also did some of that here too. So. Well, we're very happy to have been here. Dr. Haidu, I think, did a very brave thing in inviting us to install this system here, and we're still in the process of voicing it. So we've had the initial voicing. I did some more changes yesterday, and we're coming back in February to do some more. That's the nice thing about this. You can adjust it. You can make the system perform in a way that the clients or the customer is happy. It's been great being here. We're really enjoying this project. It's an ongoing saga for us. It's not something that we're just installing and walking away. So we'll be back and we'll see you in February. Looking forward to it.